What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Ben Bahari here, representing Bahari Nation Sports Podcast. Much love to the entire LDBC and the entire basketball community. If you want more basketball content, tune in to Basketball Conversations every Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Time. This is where we discuss basketball-related topics, news, debates, and everything else in the world of basketball. All right, so I wanted to do this video, last week, but I just didn't have the time to do it, and I think now I got a better perspective and a better mindset of doing this video right here and right now. So I'm going to just get down to it here. Okay. All right. I'm just going to pretty much say it straight up. Dwight Howard is the biggest prima donna in NBA history, bar none. All right. Now, listen, as you guys already know by now, Dwight Howard was trying to seek a bigger deal, to stay in Los Angeles. Okay. And he didn't do that. He pretty much decided to take lesser money to go play with the Philadelphia 76ers and probably and still make play the same role that he was in Los Angeles. And this is where I have a problem with Dwight Howard and the way his thinking. Okay, Dwight Howard at this point in his career is not the same player that he once was when he was in Orlando. All right. He's still big and he can still, be a presence defensively, but he's not the dominant athlete that he once was. Okay. And his way that he approaches the things, his prima donna attitude, all right, is just really rubs a lot of people off the wrong way. Okay. Now I'm not gonna get into the Shaq thing right now, but I'm gonna get into that in a few minutes. But my issue with Dwight is that every time he keeps leaving every team, in controversy. All right, everywhere he's been, there's been nothing but negative views and controversy about Dwight Howard. All right, remember when he was in Orlando, when they after they made the NBA Finals in 2009, man, they bent over backwards to keep him happy. All right, they wanted to basically rebuild the team and start from scratch, right? But they bent over backwards to keep Dwight Howard happy. All right, they brought in Vince Carter, they brought in Jason Richardson. Gilbert Arenas, at the late stage of his career. All right, they were doing everything they can to keeping him happy. All right. But what happened every time? He kept playing politics with the management. He kept playing politics with the media, talking about how he's prepared to leave, he's gonna stay, this, that, and the third. And what happened? He pretty much got himself traded to the Los Angeles Lakers and pretty much left Orlando in ruin, and also got Stan Van Gundy fired. All right. Yes, I said it. Stan Van Gundy was fired because of Dwight Howard. That's what it is. All right. Then you fast forward to his first stint in Los Angeles. All right. Playing with the late, great Kobe Bryant. All right. Assuming that the fact that winning a championship is going to be, easy peasy, that you didn't have to do much to work to get to a championship, not understanding the fact that it takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication to win a championship. And Kobe Bryant tested your manhood and tested your mentality, and you was basically was soft as cottonelle tissue. That's pretty much what it was. All right. And this would explain one of the reasons why Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, towards their relationship, kind of had much better closeness with each other because of the big common thing when it came to Dwight Howard. Because what Kobe realized was is that, man, I didn't realize how fortunate I was playing with a dominant center in Shaquille O'Neal that actually wanted it, bad enough. And if you listen to that interview that they both did together, on NBA TV, Kobe understood his mentality at that time when he was obsession to win a championship because of his legacy. And Dwight Howard just did not have that anger. It did not have that, passion, that anger to to knock somebody's head off if they weren't giving out that effort. What Dwight is, if the sun's beautiful this morning, let's just have a good time and relax. And you can't play that way when you're trying to pursue championships. And when he was playing in LA, he went through the grills and he failed miserably. All right, and basically drove Kobe to the ground. Playing all those minutes with Mike D'Antoni, and then ultimately, rupturing his Achilles tendon that pretty much, derailed his career. Right. Then he becomes a free agent. All right. The Lakers bent over backwards. Hell, Jim Buss, who was the executive at the time, organized a campaign, built a big sign outside of Staples to try to say, stage white, that kind of stuff. And it was just absolutely ridiculous because the Lakers are a team that doesn't bend over backwards for any player. Nobody. They will always respect their players that put their dedication in and the work in. but they weren't going to bend over backwards to bring anyone else in. It was just not going to happen. And they built a huge sign outside of Staples, all right, which was embarrassing at the time, to keep Dwight in Los Angeles. And then what happened? He turned around and basically signed with the Houston Rockets. All right. And by this particular point in time, Dwight Howard was getting a bad reputation of being soft, and he deserved that reputation. Okay. And then what happened when he was in Houston? All right. When he was in Houston for those years, all right, they made the Western Conference Finals back in, was it 2015 or something like that? Let me check real quick. Yep, they made the Western Conference Finals back in 2015. All right. But then what happened after that? All right. The team started to fall apart, and Dwight Howard kept pointing the fingers at everybody instead of pointing the finger at himself. And basically, the relationship with him and James Harden deteriorated. All right. Then he gets bounced out of. Then he basically signs with the Atlanta Hawks. And based on the reporting that was shown at the time, Houston players were rejoicing when Dwight Howard left for free agency. They just couldn't wait to wipe their hands from him. And when you see that pattern starting to develop over time, it's not on the teams that basically decided to let you leave. It's based on yourself. All right. And when he left to Atlanta, all right. It didn't work out either. Then he goes to Charlotte, thinking that Michael Jordan's thinking that I could probably get him to play the same way that he was in Orlando. And it wasn't that way. And he started trying 3-point shots. And it's like, what is this guy doing? Right? Then he plays in Washington. That didn't work out. Then he returns to Los Angeles. And by that time, he was already getting a really bad reputation. All right. Based on the stuff outside of the court and based on the stuff that was going on the court. All right. And he had no choice. He had to be humble to himself, specifically with playing with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, or he wasn't going to last long. And he did that and earned a championship as a result of that. Then what happened after that is that he felt that he was still be the same player that he was in Orlando, and he took basically a 1 year deal with this probably with lesser money to go play with the Philadelphia 76ers. And Joel Embiid is the starter. He wasn't not like he's going to get any significant minutes, even to begin with. So I really don't understand that. But the sad part is guys, is that he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and it's really as much as I don't like to say it, he's a Hall of Famer. When you look at his accomplishments, 8-time All Star, 5 times he was first team All NBA. He was NBA All Second Team in 2014. He made the third team twice in '07 and no in 2013. And he won Defensive Player of the Year award 3 consecutive years, and it could have been a fourth straight year if it wasn't for the back surgeries. All right. He was all defensive team, first team for 4 straight seasons between 2009 and 2012. All defensive second team in 2008. All right. 5 times he led the NBA in rebounding. All right. And in those years when he won Defensive Player of the Year, he led the NBA in block shots in 2009 and 2010 and was a former slam dunk champion in 2008. So this guy, based on the accomplishments he was achieving during his time in Orlando, and remember, this was specifically in Orlando, he's a Hall of Famer. As much as I hate to say it, he is a Hall of Famer. All right. He's also won a gold medal in the 2008 Olympics. He's also has a bronze medal in the FIBA World Championships in '06 and in 2007. All right, as a gold medalist. This guy is going to be a Hall of Famer by default. But when you look back at Dwight Howard's, reputation and what people remember him as a player, they're going to look at him as a guy that was very talented and was dominating in his position for a good certain period of time. But then he just didn't have the anger. He didn't have the grit. He didn't have that, wanted to kill somebody attitude to win a championship. And when you look back at this time, Orlando, Los Angeles, Houston, all those teams couldn't wait to get rid of Dwight Howard. All right. That should tell you something. All right. When you're playing with Kobe Bryant, you should be rejoicing to play with an all-time great player. All right. But Dwight Howard, like I said, he felt that winning a championship was going to be so easy that he didn't have to put that much effort in, not understanding the fact that it takes a lot of work and dedication to win a championship, and it's not going to be given to you. You have to go out and earn it. All right. And Dwight Howard never got the grasp of that understanding. Now you get into the Shaquille O'Neal part. Now I have been one of those guys that has been, sort of defending Dwight Howard, in terms of, Shaq's, relentless bullying because, Shaq is basically a prick. All right. And all you have to do is just give Shaquille O'Neal some facts and he's gonna get butt hurt and he's gonna cry like a baby. But a lot of the stuff that Shaq has said over the years about Dwight, some of it is warranted and some of it's not. One of the things is that, Dwight Howard never had that anger, that never had that, hatred against his opposition. He was always a nice guy. Now, that's just his personality trait. But when it came down to playing with, great players, all right, he never was a guy that could handle that kind of level of pressure and expectation to win a championship. And some of that, what Shaq said over the years, is partially right, even though there was malice behind it. All right. But at the same time, Dwight Howard did a lot of this to himself too and garners that reputation as a prima donna. All right. He's just a guy that is basically always thinks about himself than about the team. All right. And if he were doing the same thing with the Lakers for the second time around with LeBron, that would have been the end of his career. All right. And more importantly, if DeMarcus Cousins never got injured, all right, we would have not heard of Dwight Howard on the Lakers team winning a championship. That's a legit fact. Okay. He can celebrate all he wants to about the championship. He's basically, he got his championship. But there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say he should have won more. And I agree. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to look back at Dwight Howard's career and they're going to say he should have won more. And I agree with that 100%. He should have been much more than what his accomplishments showed. All right. He should have been a dominating force. All right. He wasn't going to be an efficient, scorer. All right. That was never part of his game. His reputation was shot blocking, rebounding. All right. Dominating on the inside. All right. That was his game. All right. He was never a strong free throw shooter like Shaq. All right. But he could have been much more. All right. His time in Orlando was the great bright spots of his career. And then ultimately the back injuries, always, playing politics with management and always, catering to the media a lot really hurted his reputation to this day. All right. And this is one of the reasons why he's never going to be revered as one of the top 50 greatest centers of all time. He's going to be probably top 60 and probably top 100. That's pretty much where I put him at this point. He's not greater than Shaq. All right. He's not better than Olajuwon. He's not better than Patrick Ewing, David Robinson. He's not better than Kareem. All right. Hell, he's not even better than DeMarcus Cousins. Even when Dwight Howard was healthy, DeMarcus Cousins was much more skilled than Dwight Howard. It's just a shame that injuries, really derailed him. And I gotta say, for DeMarcus Cousins, you gotta feel for him. It's bad luck to know that he's been injured a lot, and he was moments away from catching a super mega deal, and then he got traded to New Orleans. Then he ended up injuring his was it his Achilles tendon and quadricep muscle or something like that. And then actually after that, it just keeps getting worse and worse for DeMarcus Cousins. And now he's got to sign, veteran minimum deals to pretty much continue playing and continue on with his career. It's just a very unfortunate situation. And actually, correct myself. He actually injured his left Achilles tendon, right? And then after that, he tore his ACL. I mean, it's just bad luck one way after another. For Dwight, he hasn't had those, significant, injuries that really slowed his career down, other than the back surgeries. But when you look at his career for this totality, he's gonna go down as probably, one of the biggest, drama queens, biggest prima donnas in the history of the game. But he's a Hall of Famer. And that's really the disgusting part about this. He's going to be a Hall of Famer by default, knowing that there's a lot of other names out there that deserve their time in the Hall of Fame, but they're being left out because of politics. And that's what I feel about this whole thing with Dwight. I feel like Dwight should be more than what his accomplishments show. But the bottom line is, if he retired right now, I hate to say it, he's a Hall of Famer. That just is what it is. He's just a Hall of Famer by default. That's just pretty much how I feel about that. I know I went off a little bit ranty a bit, but that's just how I feel about Dwight Howard. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section below.